Hey y'all, hey, what's going on? I just realized that it was time to go, so I wanted to start it off, excuse me. We are currently at -1 degrees Fahrenheit, and we have a wind chill of about -12. But tonight is our last night. But honestly, we can't complain because the worst of it was last weekend, and we got up in the 20s today, so that was delightful. But we sure are looking forward to the 40s tomorrow. They keep backing off it and saying it's going to be in the 30s, but it's going to be above freezing is all I care about. So that will be delightful because we've had enough. And hopefully we go right back to a nice mild winter, and then we can be really thrilled about it. Let's see who we've got in the chat here. I've already said hello to some people, but I like to go back, say hello to everybody. Hey, Alfonso Cimental. Hope you're doing well, staying warm. Christine, Mrs. Gillum Farms. Robin, Garden State So-and-so. Hello, hello. Alicia at Strange Reality. Lisa Colovi, amazing moderator. Thank you. Tammy at Mountain Grandma is here, and I did put in the chat that Tammy at Mountain Grandma and Sarah at A Homesteading Hustle would love for you to watch their playlist so they can meet their goals. Wink, wink. Let's see here. Doug and Carolyn over at Holman's Homestead are here. Hello. I hope you guys are staying warm too. Tony at Our Cabin in the Woods and Angie. I hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, I think we're all ready for it to get warmer, Mountain Grandma. Broke Cowgirl, Gwen, hello. Cold again tonight here too. Not as cold, but below freezing. You guys who don't really deal with it all the time, like my heart goes out to you because, we're used to dealing with cold, but when your animals aren't used to dealing with cold, that always makes me worry. Hey, Suburban Hillbilly, hope you're doing well, Rebecca. Hello, love the land every day. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for being here. And Gather Together Homestead. Hello, hello. I think I got everybody. Well, geez, we have a real surprise tonight because you know me, I can't get my stuff together to get a guest coming up here and scheduling. Hey, A Homesteading Hustle. Sarah, we were just talking about you, saying that you would love to have people watch your playlists. You and Mountain Grandma. I'm glad you're doing well. Love the land every day. Good morning, Blue. So, funny thing, Ryan at Heavenly Hills Homestead and I were kind of messaging back and forth over Instagram, and he was asking me to set a date to come on and, go on his show later next year, or later this year, I should say. Hey, Alicia. So anyway, I said, well, we'd love to have you. And he said, when? And I said, well, whenever you want. Calendar's open. And he said, today works. So here we are. We are here with Ryan with Heavenly Hills Homestead. So let me just make sure I got everybody in the chat. Hey, River at Homestead. Hope you're doing well. But yeah. Oh, hey, Lantern Creek Farm. So Lantern Creek Farm also would like someone to check out and watch their channel. So check them out. But yeah, let's bring Ryan up and let's get going on this interview. Hey, Andale. But come on up, Ryan. You ready? All right.
Evening.
Evening. Welcome and welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, no problem. Let's see if that works better. Nah, I like the other one. It's a little too close up, right?
Yeah.
So welcome. Happy to have you here. And thank you for accepting the invite. And you just jumped right on and said, yeah, I could do tonight.
Absolutely. I'm always down for a live stream.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, Charlene Heel. Hey, Blue Collar Homestead. Blue Collar also would love for you to watch their playlists. Just a heads up. I think I got everybody. So go ahead.
let me go on ahead. And so everybody who's needing to watch the playlist, I encourage everybody to watch their playlists. But also, what helped me out is I had people watching my playlist, and then I also set my computer, which I'm on right now, that I never use unless I'm on a live stream. I made my own playlist and just started watching my own playlists on my own computer too, which also helps. But you have to make sure you're signed out of YouTube. So make sure you're signed out, and then just put your own and run it through like that too. That'll help you out a lot. So just little help for you guys trying to get up there on your watchtowers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Tony, I typed it in the chat, but his name is Ryan.
Yep.
So, hey, Ariella. So why don't you tell us what state you're in? Because I assume you don't mind saying that. And tell us a little bit about you.
All right. So I live in West Virginia. West Virginia is a sometimes people, when you say you live in West Virginia, they say, oh, you live in the western part of Virginia. No, it is actually a state, West Virginia. You can find it on the map there, and it looks kind of like an owl. It's a weird looking little state. But anyhow, West Virginia has got very, very weird climate. It's kind of temperate at some points, and then other times it's freezing. And so it's nothing like I've ever seen before. Unlike, I say that, but it's a lot like Korea. So whenever I was in the Army, I went to Korea, and people had told me before I went there that had been there before. They said, "Oh, you're from West Virginia. You'll love it there. It's just like being at home." And it was. It's the exact same. Summers are very humid and hot. Winters are very cold and got a lot of snow generally. The past few years, probably 2021 into 2022, it's been mild. So, when I say mild, I mean little to no snowfall. Anything that did fall was gone by the next day or so. So it didn't really stick. This year we started out pretty temperate, and about 2 or 3 weeks ago, it just switched and said, "Hey, we're going to freeze y'all to death now." And so it did. It killed everything in my greenhouse that I had growing, and so we lost all that. But it's nice. It's home. It's a lot of mountains. You can get into some parts of the states where there's a lot more mountains, more steeper mountains. And then you get into the other parts where it's just more like rolling hills, flat plateaus and stuff like that. I'm kind of right there on the border where I have a lot of flat plateau, but I'm still up pretty high. I'm at 2266 on elevation. So, I mean, not like extreme high like you might see out west. But for here, right. But here on the East Coast, 2266, that's pretty high.
It is.
And there's some other places in the state that's just a little bit higher than this. Not a whole bunch more, but getting up there. But it's nice, and I love it here. I just wish that Mother Nature would figure out what she wants to be this year, whether she wants to be hot or she wants to be cold, because I would like to grow something.
She doesn't have a clue what she wants, just a heads up, and she's very finicky. I've been having conversations with her.
yeah.
Not nice ones.
Right.
Usually with a lot of expletives, and it's cold.
Right.
Yeah, because we're going on about 2 weeks with it's almost 2 weeks with sub-zero. Although I will say, the worst of it passed pretty quickly. There is a line. I find that there is a fine line. Like, when I say we're -1 now with like -12 wind chill, that's normal.
Right.
That's not bad. It's when it gets down to, but we were 20s today. So when you're dealing with that 24 hours,
right,
that's a lot on the animals.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a bit much. However, thankfully not near as bad as what Alberta, Canada, and British Columbia are dealing with. They were colder. I know Alberta, Canada was colder than the Arctic Circle and Antarctica.
Wow.
Like,
is that odd? Does that not make your brain kind of like start to wonder and think, like, how's that even possible?
Exactly.
I mean, it really does, because how can you be colder than those places. Those are the
I,
coldest places on earth, and yet you're colder than that. It boggles the mind.
well, and it's funny because you talked about the East Coast, and we hiked Mount Washington, and if you're an East Coast person, Mount Washington is pretty massive, right? And it's the home of the world's worst weather. And I thought I'd seen it all, where you could be wearing shorts at the bottom and it could be snowing up top and windy as all get out. But dang, there's nothing like this.
It is very wild. And here's what so I've been having a struggle to get hay. I need hay. My pigs need hay. My goats need hay. And I called the guy days and days ago before the first snowstorm hit. Hey, you got some hay? If you do, bring it to me. I'll buy it off of you. Yeah, I got some hay, and when you need it? And I said, now, if you can get it, I ain't got much left, and after that, I got to go to alfalfa blocks, cubes, and I hate those things. And those are just reserved backups for the rabbits and stuff in case, the worst happens. And I got alfalfa pellets, so I can go to them too, but still, again, worst case scenario, don't want to use them. And this guy knows it, right? And I'm like, just bring me my hay there. I'll even give you extra, just, run it over to me. You want $40 a bale? I'll give you 50 just to run it out here for me real quick. He just lives literally right here at the end of the road. Yeah, I'll get it over for you tomorrow. Well, tomorrow came and nothing. The next day came and nothing. And I called him, hey, I need that hay. Yeah, I'll get it to you. Well, then today, the snowstorm, second one come. I can't get the tractor out. I'm too busy plowing everybody else's stuff. And so weather like this, I understand it. It's not fun to get out in and everything. But, you would think being in a community, we would watch each other's backs and, if you continue to buy off of him and everything, that's where you get your hay every time. Then, that's where I've been buying it for 2 years. And I understand things but it frustrates me because I look at it as your lackadaisical, whatever you want to call it, is affecting my animals.
Yep.
And that makes me pretty ticked off, and so I'm probably going to have to figure out somewhere else to go get my hay from now because I'm just kind of fed up with it. And I don't like my animals being, it's not that they're mistreated, but to me, it's mistreatment because I'm not able to give them what I want them to have, what they need to have, and so it really pesters me pretty bad. But outside of that, the temperature changes for the goats and the pigs and everything, it hasn't seemed to really affect them a whole lot. They seem to be doing really, really well. Of course, they've been used to this mild, temperate kind of climate. They all are very young, so none of them have had to really live through a hard winter, so to speak. And so this is their first, I guess, really hard winter. We had that Arctic blast last year in 2022, and it was during Christmas, and it was here and gone, right? So like 2 or 3 days, and it was done. Right. This has been a couple of weeks now of this stuff. Yep. And so but everybody seems to be in good spirits. Yesterday we was sleigh riding outside, and the pigs didn't want to move. They were in their shelter, and they were all laid up together, and they were all just laying there. And I said, they're not moving. They're not coming up here to greet me. What's the problem with them?
Yeah.
And I went over, because we was out sleigh riding, so, it wasn't too awful bad if I had the kids out. But I went over and I said, hey, what y'all doing? And they start, doing their little thing. And Wilbur was the only one that wanted to come out. Violet and Petunia said, nah, man, we ain't coming out here.
No.
Yeah, and so Wilbur come out, and he got treats for coming out. But, the other two, I threw the treats into them. But we gave Wilbur some love and petted on him and everything. But, yeah, it sucks, when you have these big temperature swings and things. And like you said, it's going to warm up there. It's supposed to warm up here. I think next week, middle of next week sometime. And then another cold snap supposed to happen again in February, right? And these big temperature swings and things, I couldn't imagine. That would be like us living in a 70-degree home and being thrown out in
Yep.
20-degree weather, right? And so, I look at it as I need to do everything I can to ensure that those animals are as comfortable as possible, right? I
Absolutely.
mean, if I had the means and stuff, I would have a big barn built and they would be inside of a barn out of the weather completely. Like, heaters would be in there, everything. It'd be like the Taj Mahal for my animals. But that just can't happen here. It was too small of a place. But, we try to
Yeah.
make the best with what we got.
Yeah, same here. Same here. I mean, I know that I was talking to some friends on Instagram that say that they use straw for bedding, and straw is ideal for bedding. But for us, like we have to get our hay and our straw and store it for the winter, or you're not going to get it. We were
Right.
lucky enough to be able to score 5 bales of it a week ago Thursday, or so before this started, and we still have some left. But it's also not $3 a bale,
Right.
like it is in Pennsylvania. I know a friend of mine in Pennsylvania says, "Oh, it's like $3." I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "I got 5 bales and it cost me almost $70."
Wow.
So that's why we tend to use shavings, because it's a good layer. We still put that down on the ground, but then we put the straw on top for cold weather.
Right.
But it's just amazing the wide variations. Because here's the thing, there's no way to get hay or straw for the most part in the middle of winter here, because everybody's stocked up on it.
Right.
And so we made sure we got enough alfalfa. But I'll tell you, you go through, in fact, I was going to do a video on it. You go through a lot of feed in the colder weather. You go through a lot of straw. You go through a lot of drain on your electricity with water heaters, because there's no way that I'm tipping over a rubber bowl, because nobody will ever have water here.
Right.
They need water heaters to keep it warm enough. I had water heater on the stock tank, and I still had several inches ice I had to break off in the morning.
I'm glad you brought that up, because here I can't get that. I bought submergible tank heaters, and they don't freaking work. I've bought brand new ones 2 years in a row, and they do not work.
You bought the submersible?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a floater?
A floater?
Do you have one that sometimes what they do is they make 2 different kinds, and some of them.
Mine has a ring on the bottom and it sinks down to the bottom. It's like this big heating element and it sinks down to the bottom.
Look up your model.
Okay.
And see if it has the capability of floating.
Okay.
Because what ends up happening is we've been using the same one that sinks.
Mm-hmm.
And then we end up getting like 5 or 6 inches ice on top. However, if we have the floating one, the girls have water on their side, because what it is it's a stock tank that straddles the fence.
Right.
The floater insists on going to the girls' side, which is fine because they do drink more than the boys. So
right.
They are open, but it gives me an opportunity then to break the ice on the boys' side.
Okay. I'll have to look at that.
You want to get one that floats, because it will take care of the surface better.
Okay.
You'll still have ice if it gets to one side, but it works a lot better.
See, what I do is I got a great big 30-gallon food grade barrel.
Yeah.
And I put one of those pig spouts, the little nipple things that they hook on. So that's what they get their water. Put that in there, and last year it wouldn't work. I kept having to go out there and nothing was happening. So I would literally take my big pot, put it out on a propane burner outside, heat up 5 gallons of water at a time, and dump on top of it every day just to give them water. That's a lot of work, And so then I was like, well, this thing don't work. So I was like, we'll just buy another one. So I bought a new one, and that one isn't working. So then I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Or they like, so evidently, like you're saying, it's just building up on the top, and then, eventually it just keeps going down, I reckon. So if I get a floating one and put a floater and that sinking one on there, maybe then that would keep it all balanced out, you think?
Well, I think that's why we've steered away from the nipple waters, because some pigs don't gravitate to them right away.
Right.
ours didn't gravitate to the ones where they've got the blue bowl, and they got to push their snout.
Right.
And it just did not work out well. And we decided that right then and there, we were, even with peanut butter and all that, we decided we were not going to confuse them
Right.
by having to put nipple waters out in the summer and then teach them again how to do it. So one of the things that we've done is we use a plastic tire feeder insert in a tire for water in the summer, and they have one for each pig. Then in the wintertime, they have the stock tank, which takes care of 4 pigs.
All right.
The only thing we don't like about the stock tank is we're wasting a lot of water because we fill it, but we have the tank heater rated for that one, so we have to leave it. But it works out so well for us.
What size is how tall is it?
It's a Leanne Mennonite farmhouse, and everybody else who's coming into the chat. Sorry if I missed you. Let me look here. I think it's got 75 gallons.
Okay.
60 to 75 gallons. So what it is it's a stock tank, and it's one of those shallow sided ones. And we have it recessed under the fence on 2x4s.
Okay.
So one of the things now is we're not going to be able to lift that up and empty it like we like to, because it's going to be frozen for a good 4 days after the freeze.
Right.
Because all the ice that fell down in there.
Somebody had told me that I was talking to the other day, whenever I was talking to him about my stuff freezing up here. He said, well, why don't you build a frame around it and put some insulation or spray foam around it? And I was like, oh yeah, I guess I could do that. You think there's a way that you guys could build like a very, very small frame around that with spray foam or some kind of insulation, old blankets or anything, and just maybe help insulate a little bit more? Because from what he was telling me, because he runs cattle, he said the biggest thing that you have to deal with that is the wind. He was like, because the wind constantly beating on it is what really, he said cold temperatures, yes, they'll freeze it, but the wind is what really does the most damage. So he was like, if you could just protect it a little bit more from that, he told me I could do better, because that's how he runs his tanks in the wintertime for his cows.
I think it would work. My biggest concern would be for the trouble I would have getting the tank in and out to empty it and rinse it.
Right.
And honestly, what we have works with the stock tank heater.
Right.
The only time we have ice on that tank is when we dip below 0, and we stay there for days.
Okay. Can you send me the link to your floating thing whenever we get off of here?
Yeah, I can do that. You just have to make sure that you buy a heater that is rated for your tank.
Okay.
So if your tank is metal, you need to get one rated for a metal tank. You have to get one that is also rated for the gallons.
Okay. So
because you don't want the water to be warm.
Right.
It's not going to happen in really cold weather. But the point is we start ours in October usually.
Oh, okay.
And let them run, because we're not dealing with it.
Right.
I had one freeze and I had to fight through it, and I said, I'm done. We're putting them up.
Yep.
And that's what we do. But that's because we have a long winter. So.
Right. I tried the bowls, the little, because my buddy over at Homestead, he runs Cooney Cooney's. He's a great guy. And he uses bowls. He just uses those big rubber bowls, you know what I'm talking about, and he dumps them out, fills them up several times a day. The problem with the bowls with these pigs is they think that they have to go get in them.
Yep.
And they flip them, or they go and try to sit in them. And they mess them up. They're not good for very long before they're just like, okay, yeah, that's trash now. And so I got tired of continuously having to replace them. That's why I went to this method because they're just, I don't know what it is about them three, but I think Violet would be okay. I think Petunia's the troublemaker, and she's the one that kind of sets the tone for everything. And if she was gone, then Wilbur and Violet would probably mellow out and stuff. But yeah. So you have any like that are just like the troublemaker ones?
Oh, several. They all have their personalities. I think they don't try to get in the stock tank, and I think it's because of where it's located. they do get in their water bowls and all that kind of stuff. And I know Lantern Creek suggested putting a milk jug with salt in it to float on the top. I don't do that, and that's because I'm paranoid of
leach the salt out.
If it leaches the salt out, you'll have salt toxicity in your pigs. So that's one reason why I've not done it, because we're concerning because they're not drinking as much in the winter, and they're eating more.
Right.
So I tend to steer away from anything that could lead to that. The other thing is, Broke Cowgirl said, put a piece of a 2x4. I have a shovel next to my tank, just a regular spade shovel. And I break it up. And then what I do is I reach in with I have these waterproof gloves, which I absolutely love. In fact, I got a pair here that I'm sending to somebody. But they're Hydra Hide by Wells Lamont.
Oh, man, them are nice.
Well, I reach in and pull out the chunks of ice and throw them out of the tank, because then it takes longer to refreeze.
They're waterproof?
Yeah.
Man,
not forever, but for me to stick my hand in the tank, and as long as I don't go over the top,
right,
I'm fine. And then I continue on with
your chores,
with my chores, and I get done, and then I have several pairs. So what I do is I put them behind the pellet stove and let them dry up.
Okay.
And then I use the next one, because I know they do take time to dry, because like say an hour later I go to put them on, they're not wet inside, but they feel cold.
Right.
So I don't use those, just because I don't think they're really good.
I have the ones with the fingers all cut out in them, and that's what I have to use. You know what I mean? And that's not so fun sometimes.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, we use the green heated bowls from Tractor Supply. I don't use them from Tractor Supply, but I have the green and the blue heated bowls, and I have a 2-gallon bucket, and they work so great. Because we have one for the piglets, we have 2 for the chickens. And so really it's just our pigs, our adult pigs, that need the stock tank. So that works out really well for them. But these gloves are great. I mean, they're $12.99. They have 3M thin slate. I got a bunch of these when they were on sale for $5.
That's crazy.
Yeah, hang on, guys. Let me take my booster off here. Hold on. My blur. Now you can see the real mess. I don't want to hear it. So they're Wells Lamont
Hydra
Hide. I've been using them for 2 years. Hey, the Gypsy and the Vanilla Gorilla. Hey, Teresa. And let's see here. I'm going to see if it has a model number on it. Hold on. I have a size large hand. Okay, on the inside of the glove, it says RN number, I think it's 32190. But I get these at Runnings. I get them, whatchamacallit. I've seen them at Runnings is really the main place, and Runnings is like a Tractor Supply, and they are online. But you can look on Amazon or wherever, but they do have several different types. So here's what the glove, hold on. There we go. So it's WELLSLAMONT. And they've got, this is what the palms look like. They're black. And for me, if I drop them, I can see them too.
Right. Yeah, Amazon's got a bunch of these on here. So
yeah, I use a shovel. The biggest part about the plastic bowls is you really don't want to hit the ice too hard, because you will break the plastic bowl.
Right.
But when it comes to the stock tank, it's metal. That's why we will not use rubber stock tanks anymore, or the plastic Rubbermaid.
Right.
So
What is
yeah,
this the green heated bowls that y'all are talking about right here? What are these?
hold on.
Okay. Hey, all y'all in the chat. Good to see some of y'all. Some of y'all I don't know, but there's Miss Christine from Gillum Farm and Don Ray. How you doing there?
I have to have them on hand because they go off the shelves. Hey, Don Ray. So,
okay, yeah,
so it's what, 1.5 gallons,
right.
and
How does it heat up? You got
here, I'm
just
going
an
to show
extension
you.
cord? Okay. Oh yeah, cool. I need to go get me one of them.
Whoops. Hold on.
Can you keep the extension cord, its cord kind of wrapped around the bottom and just run the extension cord up underneath it where that slit is and plug it in underneath?
I do not. I pull it out all the way.
Okay. The reason why I was asking is because I don't want anything chewing on it. I'd rather chew on the extension cord than chew on it. Ah, okay, cool.
You know what I do?
Yeah.
I take it and I weave it underneath the cattle panel or hog panel.
Right.
And then that way you're able to have the access outside. That's what I do with my water heater too.
Right.
I put it in the tank and I weave right through on the top of the tank and weave it through the cattle panel so that way they're not chewing on them.
Okay,
we
cool.
use, when these die, I cut the cord off.
Right.
And the reason why I cut the cord off is I'm not playing that game next winter about knowing which ones work and which don't. When I know it doesn't work, I cut the cord off and I put it away. And then I just, then we know which ones work and we can use them as feed bowls.
Right.
You want to put them on straw or something.
Okay. So
that way they don't stick to the ice, because if you overfill the bowl, they will stick.
Okay.
So just a heads up. But
how long do they usually last?
Oh, I had yard sale ones that died, but my brand new ones, knock on wood, I've not had any go yet.
Okay, cool.
So they last a while. And here's the thing. Get them on sale, Ryan. Get them on sale.
So at the end of winter, they're going to go on sale then?
Or early in the year.
Okay.
Because like this may cost you $27 now.
Right.
But I've gotten them on sale for $16.99.
Shoot, yeah.
So when they're on sale, we just bought 2 this year, because what's going to happen? When's it going to die?
Right, exactly.
In the middle of winter.
Yep. Might as well have them ready to go.
Yeah, so we got these back in August, and they're great.
Who are they made by?
This one is made by Farm Innovations. 60 watts of power, 1.5 gallon. And it's thermostatically controlled. It only works when it needs to. Okay. Cool. And I don't have to do anything.
Right. And that's good though too, because then it's not going to burn out the element as fast.
Right. Right. And here's the thing. I've not had to bust any of them open this year.
That's crazy, especially
not at all. Last
negative.
Year when Norman was in his different pen.
Right.
Norman's I had to bust a little, but not this year. Let me just go to the chat real quick, because there's a bunch of people here.
Yep.
If you don't mind.
I don't mind one bit.
Thank you. Hey, Don Ray B. Hey, Rebecca, Touched by Yarn. Let's see, Leanne. Hey, Miss T with the T. Sorry. Let's see here. Hey, Skinner Farms. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Annette, the Cow Emporium. You're never late, girl. Hey, Tina Ladybug. Hey, Let's Trade Paint. I think I got everybody. If I missed you, I apologize. Yeah, it's just been great. They're really helpful. They have a 2-gallon bowl. And like Suburban Hillbilly said, she puts them on concrete pavers also. I don't do that because the little pigs, the pavers that I have are too high. So I got to make sure they can access them. But we've also talked about getting 2 buckets for 2 big heated buckets, maybe rubber ones for the adult ones. I got to think about it. When you got something that works, you just want to stick with it. You don't want to try it out in minus whatever weather.
Right.
But I will say those bowls, if I could have those bowls for everybody, I would.
I need something else because I got swimming pools for the ducks and the chickens and the geese.
Right.
And they just don't, them submersible heaters don't even work in them things, you
you got to be careful too. Yeah.
Right. So I'm just fed up with I'm fed up with having to heat water, dump it, and we got to figure something else out. And every time, like, we have those waterers that you can, fill up and they're, like a gallon or 2 gallon, right? And you fill them up and leave them out, the plastic ones with the little ring that fills up. We have those, but the ducks and the chickens don't know how to act. So they go over there and they think it's bath time, so they're over trying to take a bath in a watery ring. They knock it over and, so then I'm like, and then the wife wants to get rid of the ducks and the geese. And I'm like, hey, yeah, but I you like the chickens. I like the ducks and the geese. I know that they're buttholes, but we got to figure something out here.
Yeah. So talk about the animals that you have there on your farm. Like, talk about the size of your farm, if you don't mind, like whatever you feel comfortable sharing.
Yeah. So it's not really that big. It's only on 1 acre of land. We have 2 goats. I'm pretty sure our doe is pregnant. Both of them are 2 years old now. So he was acting pretty Billy-like back in October, November. Okay, so we're hoping that she's pregnant and everything. We'll see. She looks to me like she is. I mean, she's starting to get a pretty round barrel shape to her. So we'll see. I seen him mount her a couple times, but I never seen him actually do the deed. So I don't know if it happened or not. I'm hoping and praying it did. But anyhow, so we got those. And then we have Petunia, Violet, and Wilbur. Those are our pigs. They're Cooney. Petunia is half Cooney and half micro pig.
So she fits right here in your hand, right?
Right. When we bought her, the funny thing is when we bought her, they advertised her as a Cooney. And let me just tell the whole story of why we have pigs to begin with. I never wanted a pig. All right. Never did. In 2021, a pig showed up at the neighbor's house down here. And everybody knew that we had a small little homestead going on. All we had was chickens at the time and a few ducks. And anyhow, so they came here and they asked, did I have pigs? And I said, no, I don't have any pigs. And they said, well, there's a pig down here and it's at a standoff with my hound dogs. And I said, well, put him on the table. I don't know what to do with him, And I said, well, I'll come down there and help you push him up in the horse trailer and you guys can figure it out from there. So I get down there and there's this pot-bellied pig. Well, he looked kind of weird. He wasn't full-blooded pot-belly. He was something else in him too, but that's what I thought of it at first, So anyhow, I was like, okay, he's pretty cool looking, and I was going through a rough time with anxiety and everything. And I was just like, I got the garden fenced off. I ain't got the yard fenced in yet, but I'm going to do that next. I was like, but I got the whole garden fenced off. It's only March. And if I put him in there and I started thinking about all these things, I was like, well, I'll help you put him in the horse trailer. And then I'll put him on Facebook, see if anybody claims him, because obviously he belongs somewhere around here. So anyhow, he ended up going in the horse trailer, and then my wife came over and she was like, and she's like, he's pretty cool looking. I was like, yeah, I was like, why don't we just put him in the garden spot so he don't have to live in the trailer until somebody gets him? Somebody will come by and get him shortly. She's like, yeah, okay. So we rustled him. I don't know what you would say. We put him down in there and into the, he wouldn't follow anybody, and he acted like he'd been beat. And so he wouldn't follow anybody. He was very, very skittish and stuff. And so we had to kind of chase him to get him where we wanted him to go. He finally got him into the garden spot, and that's where he stayed. And so some of my first videos on YouTube was of Chili Mac. That was what I named him. I named him Chili Mac. And Chili Mac was with us for a while. And then Chili Mac, I built him a new pen whenever it was time for him to get out of the garden so I could use it. I built him a new pen where the other pigs are now. And then he magically got out one day. And I don't know how he done it, but somehow he squeezed his fat little rear end between the side panel and the back fence, which was an old fence that I didn't think about putting any panels by because I thought it was a fence and it'll be all right. Well, he pushed so much that he loosened up that back fence and squeezed back behind it, and he took off. So the neighbor called about 6 o'clock one morning and said, "Hey, Ryan, your pig is running all over around here." And I said, "Oh gosh." So he was down here at the next door neighbor who has a nursery, and he was running amongst all the flowers and all the greenhouses and everything, right? And I'm like, oh my God, please just don't have hurt anything, right? and so then he goes back down and he squares back off with the hound dogs that are that guy's neighbor. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm down there and I'm trying to get him. He's still very, very skittish. He does not like anybody to, if you bent down to give him something, he'd come to you. But as soon as you stood up, he would run from you. And he had big cutters on him, and he would use them because some of the times we had to, move him. I would have to get a board in front of me and kind of like walk with it in front of me because he would get over and try to throw his head around and cut you. And so anyhow, I was trying to figure out how to move this dog how to move this pig without a lot of trouble. And anyhow, he ends up running over into the people who have the hound dogs. He ran over into the horse field, and the horses finally found him, and the horses got after him. And when the horses got after him, they chased him down into the valley, which is just right there. And I went in there to go get him, and the one horse was acting kind of weird. So the lady had to tie him up because I was like, yeah, I don't trust that horse. He's got his ears perked. I've been around horses my whole life. I've rode them my whole life. I was like, that horse don't like me for some reason. I was like, you're going to tie him up. So she ties him up, and I go back there, and I can't find him. And I looked everywhere, high and low. I even sent the drone up, and Annie was flying the drone trying to find him. And and we couldn't find him anywhere because on the other side of me, on this road where the horses are, that's nothing but farm. From there on over, there's nothing but horses and then cattle farm. And then on this side of me, you got the neighbor's field, and then you got nothing but hay fields that way. And so, yeah, so I mean, there's farms on both sides of me. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, where would he have went? So for 3 days straight, we looked for him and never could find this pig. Okay. He was just gone. And so everybody got real sad and stuff. And I was like, yeah, man, my pig's gone, and I done built everything for him. And, so anyhow, and he was making videos with him and stuff. So we sat around for a few months and we were like, well, Annie says, let's get a pig. I found this little pig and it's supposed to be a cooney and that's what you want and stuff. And so let's go get it. So she goes and picks it up, and the lady, when we get there, she said, oh yeah, it's cooney and micro pig. Oh. I looked at Annie and I said, that ain't what I want. I want a cooney, not a micro pig. But it literally fit in the palm of your hand. Petunia was so small, she fit in the palm of your hand, and she fell in love with her. And so I couldn't tell her no. So I was like, all right, well, we'll get her, So we get her, and we literally kept her in one of those cages, one of those little, at nighttime. Yeah. We put her up out in the daytime. We had this great big old playpen that we flipped upside down, so she had shade and stuff, and she could run.
Love that.
Yeah. And then at nighttime we'd bring her in because we got a lot of predators around here. Yeah, nothing to get her. Even though it's fenced in, they still can get in. So we'd bring her inside and we put her in one of those crates. Well, every night we set it on my daughter's hope chest. Well, every night or morning when she would wake up at 5 a.m, she would go to the back of that and run and hit the door, and until she knocked it off. If she knocked it off, it would wake us up and we'd go get her. So anyhow, we named her Petunia, and we thought she was going to stay small forever. Like even the neighbor, him and his dad raised pigs for a very long time. him growing up. He'd been around pigs for a lot. And he was like, that pig is not weaned yet. There's no way that pig was weaned yet. It's just too small. So we think that she was getting rid of them way before time.
Yeah.
And stuff. And that's, but anyhow, she got spoiled rotten.
I've heard of people doing that, sadly, a lot.
Yeah. And I don't understand it. I really don't, because the mommy's got more than enough milk and things to take care of them. There's no reason to get rid of them premature.
Right.
So anyhow, we got her that day. The next day, my sister-in-law writes my wife and says, "Hey, I just found a full-blooded Cooney male. He's they said that Petunia was 8 weeks old when we got her, and I think they said that Wilbur was maybe 3 or 4 months old, something like that.
Right.
So he's not much older than Petunia, but he was a lot bigger than Petunia. And so anyhow, I talked to the guy, and the guy's like, "Yeah, he's a real Cooney. We were going to keep him and butcher him, but he became such a good pig that we can't bring ourselves to do it." And they were like, and we just want him to go to a good home. So his mom and his dad, we've seen their parents and stuff. We know he's a full-blooded Cooney. So we gave $50 for him, right? And which is a steal for a Cooney. Because we just paid $100 for a half a Cooney.
Yep.
And so anyhow, we bring him home. So now the first day we get Petunia, the second day we get Wilbur, and on the third day, Chili Mac is like Jesus. He rose from the dead. Okay. I kid you not. This pig, I believe it, at the neighbor's house, 2 neighbors away from me. And my actual neighbor who raised pigs said, "Ryan, you ain't gonna believe this, but I think that Chili Mac pig is at the neighbor's house beside me." I said, "Are you serious right now?" He said, "You have to go check it out, but I'm pretty sure that's him. It looks like him." Well, by this time, he had done lost all of his hair, right? He had done shed all of his hair off. He was bald looking. And I went down there, and sure enough, there's Chili Mac, and I'm like, daggone it. And so we get him up here. Now we had 3 pigs, right? So anyhow, Chili Mac was, we didn't know what else to do with him. We didn't know who he belonged to. And as we were bringing him up here, one of the guys stopped by and said, "That's your pig?" I said, "Yeah, I've been looking for him for months. He's been up at the farmhouse for over 2." And I said, "And you didn't tell me?" Like, "Oh, he's up there with a female." He's like, "I was going to put the female on the table. I guess I'll go ahead and do it." And I said, "Well, go do whatever you got to do, old boy." Anyhow, we fattened Chili Mac up. Chili Mac, he looked to have been denutted. And so, there was nothing back there that we could see, right? I mean, I felt and couldn't see nothing. So we fattened him up. We were pretty sure he was a potbelly crossed with something, right? Yeah. What it is, I don't know, because you could tell he wasn't full-blooded potbelly, but he had potbelly in him. So anyhow, nobody wanted him. Nobody would take him. So we fattened him up, and Chili Mac went to butcher. All right. And then whenever I butchered him, come to find out he did have 1 undescended testicle. Right. And
Lord have mercy.
And that explains why he humped the doghouse like crazy.
There you go.
Because he would always do that. And
thanks, Leanne.
If he didn't have something back there, he wouldn't do that.
Yeah, because you know if he's got them or not at that age. Yeah.
Right. Because he was definitely big enough, but there was just nothing there, and he had 1 undescended testicle. So it was very, very odd. So Chili Mac ended up getting 8. Everybody loved him. We ended up buying Violet from my buddy at Hematite Homestead, and we brought Violet here. And so now we're at this place where we're like, we need to get rid of Petunia. I know you like her, I know you love her, but Petunia just ain't shucking and jiving around here. She beats up on the rest of them. Wilbur won't breed because of that. It's not conducive to keep them if they're not going to be breeding. So we need to get rid of them. I know you love her, whatever. So it's been a few about six to 7 months of us trying to find somebody to take her. So she don't end up on the dinner table, right? So if anybody's out there and you live close by and you want a nice pig, she's friendly, she's cool, but She don't get along with other pigs, but she's very smart. If you want her, come on over here and I'll load her up for you. But
yeah, the pig market tanked last year.
yeah, definitely. So we got those. I do have Catahoula leopards. Those are my livestock guardian dogs. However, for the past few months, I have had Valkyrie inside because she had a litter of puppies, and she had them October 31st. By the time she weaned them, it was December, and I didn't want to just throw her back outside in the cold. You know, she's been used to having the hot, warm air, and then throwing her back outside. That just wouldn't be fair. Loki, however, is outside, but Loki cannot be trusted to be off of the chain, and he has to be chained inside of his kennel because he gets out of his kennel, and there's no way to contain him because he'll climb it and he'll get out. So anyhow, so we got him, and the reason why he gets out, it wouldn't be such a bad deal for him to be out, but he takes it upon himself to go to KFC and eat our chickens. So we just can't have him out there running around. He's very, very high prey drive. So like Valkyrie's prey drive, but not like that. Like she'll do whatever like if I tell her to put the birds up, she literally will put the birds up. She will herd them all up, and push them all in and put them all up. But not him. He's a good hog dog. He will get in there and bay with the best of them and do that kind of work. He'd be a good cattle dog as well, but he's not a good herding dog for chickens. So you can't let him out because he just gets right on it. He hops the electric fence and right over in there with him he goes. And he's been like this since a puppy. Like when we had him, we got him in March last year, and it was late March, early, like the 20th or something like that. But anyhow, when I first started trying to teach him, he would go and grab the chicken by the butt and pack it off. And he was little at the time, and he I've never been able to break him of that. He's always just done it. So that's why he ain't allowed to be loose. Now he does, however, when something does come in the yard, he does alert. And it don't matter if it's a possum, it don't matter. A bird could land in there that ain't supposed to be in there. And he does alert and let you know, hey, something's in here. You need to come get it. And it's and when he's barking that there's, so we go out there and take care of whatever it is. A lot of times there is a possum. Sometimes it's just deer, but a lot of times it's the possum or something else that shouldn't be there. And so we go on ahead and get after it. But yeah, he's got a lot of training to do. Then we have 3 female Catahoulas that we're keeping for right now, but 2 of them are going to stay. I'm pretty sure I'm already going to get rid of the one. Her temperament is not what I'm looking for. It's not that it's a bad temperament. It's just she's not a team player. And I want players because what these dogs are going to do are going to be tracking deer that are wounded here in southern West Virginia. There's a lot of hunters that come in from all over the America, and they hunt here in southern West Virginia because we got some of the biggest deer. It's a kind of a little secret, right, for right now. Right. There's not a lot of people that know about it, but the ones that do, they know, and they come and they hunt and they kill some monster bucks in the 4 counties that are right here by me that are bow only. So a lot of guys lose them. They have to call Long Spur Deer Tracking Services, which is up north, and then they have to pay a astronomical fee to them for having to drive so long to come find them, et cetera, et cetera. So I said, well, you know what? Valkyrie does a really good job of tracking. I started out Loki this past fall on tracking. He found 2 deer, very, very good. He's got the drive to do it. I said, so I'll just use them for tracking and get 2 more of them. And then, you can alternate them because you don't want to run them to death. You get 2 of them back to back and you ran them all night. You got to go run them again. They're going to be kind of wore out. So
sure.
My thing is to try to do 2 sets of tracking. So you have two pairs of them. And that way, if they something that if you run them at nighttime, here in West Virginia, you can run into bear, you can run into bobcats and things like that. You don't want them getting hurt, but for tracking alone, you want to have a pair of them. That way they can do what they got to do to help each other, defend each other. So that's what we're going to do with those. But they do make livestock guardian dogs as well. And then one of my puppies, I haven't told anybody this yet, but one of them is going to Not Normal Adventures. And you can find him on YouTube. KNOT, Not Normal Adventures. He's down in Florida, and he's a hog hunter. And so one of my puppies are going to be down there, and hopefully he'll be YouTube famous. So
nice.
Pretty happy about that. And then that will leave us with 2 males left and that 1 female to get rid of. And so we'll hopefully get rid of them soon, because they're what? Let me see. October 30th. They were they're 8 weeks. They're almost 12 weeks old now, I think.
Wow.
So, yeah, they got it. They got to go. They got to go.
Yeah, they're getting ready to be eating a lot.
Yeah. A whole lot. They're already eating a whole lot. They're going through 40 pounds every 3 days.
Whew.
Yeah. So we got to find him some homes. But
well, it sounds like a good plan, though.
Yeah, it is. And then like I say, I get to keep the best thing in the, and I've bred several breeds of dogs. I've bred American Pit Bull Terriers for 10 years. We bred shepherds and German shepherds, and we bred Danes. And out of all those dogs, I love pit bulls the most.
Yeah.
But out of all those dogs, I really believe that the most versatile, the smartest, and probably the most willing to please, even though they're stubborn, they are very stubborn, kind of like a pit bull is, but they are very, very willing to please. They would rather have you praise them than to get a treat. And I love that about this breed. They are very, very intelligent, which to some extent sucks because they can figure out things that you don't want them to figure out. But they're also good for protection. I'm telling you, they are one of the best dogs I've seen for protection. And there are people who there's a couple Facebook or not YouTube videos out there of people training them for protective purposes, like you would a German Shepherd and Doberman Pinschers and stuff like that. And so they do really, really well in those types of situations too. So I really love the breed. Now, my wife, when we moved here, we had to quit breeding pit bulls because insurance company said, "Yeah, no, no, not here." So when the last one passed away, we was like, "All right," and she seen I was kind of moping around, I guess, where I'm a veteran.
Yeah,
I have to have a buddy. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Not that my kids ain't my buddy or my wife ain't my buddy, but I got to have a buddy that likes to go do things that I like to do. And so it's a Catahoula leopard. So here, I'll spell it here in the chat here. Anyway, she was looking for a dog that was similar to a pit bull, right? That we wouldn't have to worry about the insurance thing, but it had a lot of the mentality of a lot of the characteristics and stuff. So she found Catahoula leopards. So we bought in 2020. Christmas of 2020, we bought Valkyrie, and she's a fawn leopard. And then she was something else. Within 3 days of bringing her home, I already had her to where she would sit, and I could tell her to go back, and she would go back every time I said back. Right. So I could back her up 100 yards if I wanted to. Right. And she would just keep going back. And so we did that. It got her, started training her for shed hunting. She did really well with this, training to be, finding deer antler sheds. And then I was like, well, you know what, let's see if we can't teach her to track down deer, because she came from Pennsylvania. Her mother was a champion at hog bang, and her daddy is a active, service tracker for deer in the area. And I, from what I can tell, they make pretty good money at it. Let's see, it's called Buena Vista, or however you would say that name, Buena Vista, whatever. Catahoula is what the name of where Valkyrie come from. And so we got her. She done really well. We like her a lot, and we were like, well, you know what, let's look into getting a male. And so we started looking for some. We didn't really see anything that we were interested in. And then one of my friends on Facebook shared a post of one of her relatives from Louisiana, which is where these dogs originated from. Yeah. And said, hey, we got 3 of these ones left, and they're black, and I'm like, wow, well, we need a solid, because you cannot breed leopards to leopards because it's the Merle gene. If you double breed the Merle gene, you end up causing deafness, blindness, all that stuff. So we needed a solid colored dog. And I love black. I'm a sucker for black, So I was like, okay. I was like, let's take that male right there. So we got him home, and he is massive. He's 90 some pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, he's huge, and he's a great dog. I mean, I love the dog. He's a little too much, and so for several months, I really struggled because I would write the guy and I said, man, I said, I don't know what to do with this dog, bro. I was like, this dog is not like my other one. I was like, the other one, she's not chill compared to this. You know what I mean? Like, she's full blooded. I mean, I got the papers on her. Like, I know she's correct. I was like, but compared to this thing is wild. Like what, so he had some tips and pointers on what to do and stuff. And so we got him, lined out. I mean, he's not completely lined out. He's still a puppy. I mean, he's just now getting to be a year old. So he's still young, but, so he's a good dog, and he's done well. The breeding paired well. Every one of those puppies, not only, cause you don't want to breed for just color or pattern,
right?
Or like that, but we got such a wide variety of color. We had red leopards, we had red merles, we had these weird looking, I don't even know what to call them. They're like purple fawn something with brindle spots on them. I mean, just so many different colors. And we had one that looked like a Doberman. I gave him to a buddy of mine. He's a veteran as well, and his dog was dying of cancer. So I gave him that puppy for Christmas. And then we got the rest of them here that's left. And like I said, Not Normal Adventures going to get one. But yeah, the breed is the only breed that they can, what I thought was most interesting about the breed, it's the only one that they can trace back to the Indians.
Huh.
So they trace those dogs all the way back to Native Americans that lived in Louisiana. And the people who were settling, the French who were settling in Louisiana, loved them so much and thought that they were such a good dog that they took those dogs, they would trade for them. And then they started breeding things into them like mastiffs and Dane and stuff like that to make them bigger and more of what they were wanting to do. And so, but they do great. I mean,
that's awesome.
If you want a squirrel dog, get a Catahoula. You want a raccoon dog, get a Catahoula. You want a bear dog, a deer dog, a hog dog, get a cat. You want a herding dog, get a Catahoula, because they literally can do multitasks, multi-different things, and be masters at every one of them.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
I love them.
So it's funny you brought up the litters, because I am amazed at our pig litters at the colors that our girls throw. Because we had a ginger black boar and a black and white female. And it amazes me because we've had all cream, we've had swallow belly, we've had ginger black, we've had brown and white, we've had black and white, we've had all ginger. I mean, they were gorgeous. It's amazing. I've got some questions in the chat for you, if that's all right.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we're a little over.
Those colors sound great too. I can't wait to have some pig litters.
Oh, they are the best. So we're a little over our time, so I'm going to try to go through them quickly. So favorite food?
My favorite food? Oh, good golly, Miss Molly. I just like good food. I don't really have a favorite. I just like, if it's good, I'm going to sit and eat it.
Biggest learning experience of 2023?
I'm a very spiritual person, so I'm gonna have to say just rely on God more.
Nice. Any world records in gardening yet?
So I have 3 world records. I have it got beat, but I had the world record for the butternut squash that I grew in 2021. It was my first year growing giant stuff. I grew an 83 pound 1 ounce butternut. So that was my first world record. 2022, I got the world record for the most giant varieties grown successfully in one season at 38, I think. And then, funny thing is last year in 2023, I got the world record for the most state records held by one person at one time at 38. So I have 38 state records. So
good for you. Congrats.
Thank you. No, I'm down south part. I'm right close to Virginia. I'm about 5 minutes. If I drive 5 minutes, I can be in Virginia.
Okay. Hang on. Let me just go down again. You know how StreamYard loves to jump.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody said that's awesome. Any other questions for Ryan? I want to make sure that we get them all answered. Everybody's saying, wow, wow, wow. Congrats.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much.
So one thing I did want to share with you before we go while we're waiting for folks to type in. You remember last year when we had Norman?
Yep.
So he ended up being by himself. You were talking about your pig's antics, and this year has been a learning experience again for us. Last year we ended up having just Norman because we lost his brother that was going to stay with him for meat.
Right.
Long story short, Norman engaged in a lot of different things that we're not seeing with this year with the two piglets that we have. So Norman literally would burrow in and you would not see him in the straw or the shavings. It was almost like a survival from predators and almost like a more than just warmth is what I'm trying to say.
Right. He's trying to hide.
By himself. Yeah. And so now it's funny because we have Hank and Waylon. And Hank and Waylon probably have about 35 pounds on Norman at the same time as last year. And they're not hiding under the straw. It's like such a wild learning experience. It's almost like it's teaching me like how nature is trying to survive, if that makes sense.
Right.
Because it's, and I know his barn was closed at some point, but I had a camera on him. But when I go in the other boys now, I look in there, they're not, you can tell they're not underneath. They're laying right on top.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
It is. It's weird because it almost makes you wonder, like, what was it just because he was by himself, or was it because something actually may have gotten after him, or is there just what we already know? There's strength in numbers, right? And
right.
So it's weird. I love watching the animals. I love watching how they express themselves, how they change and stuff, and all their different little ways that they have about them, because they're each individuals. Every one of them is an individual, and so it's just fun to watch them.
It is. And the other thing too with Norman, now Norman was a little towards I don't want to say he was a runt, but he was runtish.
Right.
He was a little smaller, but he wasn't tiny. And he didn't need anything extra. He did really well with his mama and all that stuff. But I tell you, what we did notice is looking back at pictures, he was very small at the same time as R2 this year.
Right.
And again, he had a hard winter, right? Because that really freezing cold set in, and we feel it really stunted him because he's still on the small side. Meanwhile, these two, I mean, Hank has got to be 80 pounds.
That's crazy.
Already. Waylon is right behind him because he had some issues. But
it's crazy because they're not really known to be fast growers.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're very slow. Yeah.
Milk and Honey wants to know, does your family have a long history in that area?
Yeah. So my family, not far from here, probably like 30 minutes from here, they actually were the first to settle in a place called Pineville, West Virginia, and Oceana, West Virginia. About every street in Pineville was named Cook something, and so I don't know how many my grandfather, however many great grandfathers back, came over as an indentured servant in the 1700s, fought in the Revolutionary War. After we won the Revolutionary War, he was granted some of this land. His indentured servitude was voided, I guess, and then he was given the land here in Pineville, and that's where we all started out. And so and actually, whenever we went through the books and everything, we were actually Scots at one time, and then I don't really remember it. I don't really know how to put this, but one of my grandmothers was a known to get around, and so she had some children with somebody else, and she called them Scots. And when they later found out that their daddy was a cook, they named themselves Cook. So so there's a long history though of all that, starting back in the 1700s.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. Yeah, Ariella, I agree. I think it's definitely the strength in numbers, and it's really been interesting to watch because considering we raised all of our pigs from piglets, we had Sherman in the wintertime. In March, we had all the pigs have been raised from piglets, the ones that we've had here, and it just really was interesting. And yet Norman was the one who sat out in the snow and got soaking wet and started shivering. So his ulterior motive of coming inside worked out well.
Right.
But that's all right.
He knew how to play mama.
And he did well, and he's earned a place as Mama's pet pig.
Yep.
And he is keeping his official purpose is companion pig to our boar, because strength in numbers, especially in really, really cold weather, and usually the poor boar is by himself, right? But we had two boars last year. Now that we don't have Sherman, it really helps to have the two together. And what I'll tell you, one of our backup plans was if it got really cold, we figured out the farrowing dates because we were ready to put all 4 of the adults together.
Right.
And we said, if they get bred, they get bred. We'll be good in May.
Right.
But it was just one of those things, you know what I mean? But I just want to thank you for being here tonight with us. We're well over our time, and I want to respect your time.
No, yeah, you can go as long as you want. I don't care. I ain't got no time limit. But yeah, I mean, I was happy to do it. I thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. I don't get to come on many lives, so not many people ask me. I ask a lot of people.
You do. Well, let me tell you, any Friday night you want to come on and talk about a topic, just shoot me a message. Just jump in the live. I'll send you the link anytime.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you, if you want to do another live next Friday or something, whenever you want to do the next one, let me know, and we can talk about growing and what I got stuff growing right now behind me.
Nice.
We can talk about, all that, what I do and different techniques and stuff that we use and stuff like that. And, maybe help some people garden better or even get into giant growing. So it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. That sounds great. We will definitely be in touch. Well, everybody, I appreciate you for being here tonight and welcoming Ryan to our live. It's always a fun. He is on Instagram.
Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Well, X, whatever you call it.
Wow. You're better man than me. Are you on Threads?
Yes.
Oh,
it's a lot to keep up with. So sometimes you'll see a massive post dump on some of them, because it's like, okay, I got to catch up, and I'll just dump a bunch of stuff. And so it's just a lot to keep up with, but I try, it's just me doing it. I have to do all the filming. I do all the editing and all the posting and stuff. So it's a lot. I'm trying to talk my wife into taking over the Instagram and TikTok because she's more geared for that stuff. I'm not geared. I'm geared for information. You want information? I can give you information like that. I am not geared toward making these little cute videos that people will just want to click on and watch. I can't figure out the music. I can't figure out the editing and stuff. So I struggle with that. But yeah, I mean, if she'll take it over, I think those would do pretty well.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I'm all about the information, teaching people, and that's what it's all about. And that's what I always say, like, especially my Instagram, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I've got like 20 messages of people asking questions, but that's what I love, is because people are looking for information on pigs and all that stuff. So thanks for being here, Ryan.
Yes,
good night,
ma'am.
all. Have a great weekend, and love to you guys.
See y'all.
Bye.